Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing an Armored Lincoln Navigator. Before we get into this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Armor Max for giving me some time with this Navigator. I'm going to include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check them out. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So first off, powering the Navigator is the Raptor engine. It's a twin-turbo 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. It puts out 450 horsepower and then 510 pound-feet of torque. And plop. So some other cool stuff with this particular armored build, you guys can see we've got strobe lights built into the grille, and I like the integration here because when you take a few steps back, I mean, you can still see them to an extent, but I think they're pretty well integrated, and the fact that they're vertical just like the Lincoln logo, it kind of blends in overall. Now in terms of armoring, this one is a level 6. Level 7 is the highest you can go with armoring, so this is just below the highest, and that includes the glass as well as the body panels on this in terms of being level 6. And before I show you more of the cool armoring stuff, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So some basic stuff with armoring, you'll find stuff like the fenders, for example, will be armored a lot of the time. Then obviously the doors, and you can tell it's a lot more solid sounding compared to what you normally have. And then obviously the windows and the glass, I mean, like, yeah, as sturdy as it gets. And the thing that's cool about this is from the exterior, you can't tell that this is an armored vehicle. You can't tell that this is different than any stock Navigator. It doesn't, like, there's nothing that screams, other than, like, you know, the strobe lights you might think are a little bit weird, but like, it doesn't scream armored, right? But there are some things when you're using the car that do kind of show you that it's armored. So when you press the hatch button, it just unlocks the hatch. And because this particular hatch is armored, you do have to lift it up yourself, so you gotta use a little bit of muscle to get that thing up. But yeah, again, the glass, the panel and everything, it's all armored. And then you can see here, that kind of is part of the whole kit. And the reason why it's colored this way is because of the interior, to match the interior. This is just floor mats in here for those of you wondering. But yeah, this provides protection so that you can still use the cargo space in this, right? And you can still use the third row, but then you have the protection. And closing it's actually pretty easy because it does have a soft close feature. So like, I just have to get it there and then it'll close. You can see more strobes here on the back. But anyways, there's kind of the exterior with this Lincoln. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time here in the back, but you guys can see we still have side steps. The doors are heavier here with the vehicle, again, because of the armoring. But you'll notice here, fully usable interior. But the reason I wanted to pop back here is you can see the sunroof. That's just plastic covering, by the way, that gets pulled off. But anyways, the sunroof itself has also been armored, so you can still use it in terms of like the visibility aspect. You just can't open up the sunroof. But yeah, if someone, I don't know, hypothetically jumps on top of your roof and tries to do some stuff, well, you got protection there. Anyways, see ya. And this is a strange transition because now we're just closing the door, and it definitely has some heft to it. That is, I mean, listen to that when you close it. Like, it's got some heft to it. So this isn't the newest version of the Navigator. This is actually the OG of the new version, if that makes sense. So it's pre-2022, post-2018, if that makes sense. Anyways, but still, I mean, super nice interior. All of this stuff, when you look at the interior, it's all normal, except when you get into the glove box and you find some of the switches for the items, like the strobe lights and everything. They always kind of keep it in like a little bit of a hidden place so that, again, the whole point of this armoring, or not the whole point, but a big part of the point is making it so that it's discreet, so that when you have passengers, obviously they'll notice that the doors are heavy, but it's not going to impede your experience here. So you can still experience the nice luxurious seats and the luxurious interior and everything of this Lincoln, if that makes sense. So we are setting off in the Navigator, which has 2 million adjustments with the seats. It always takes me so long to get my seat set in a Navigator because of all of the different adjustments with it. So I actually just reviewed one of these yesterday at the Lincoln dealership. And so it'll be cool for me to be able to drive this armored one back to back because I'll have a pretty good perspective on the differences with the drive between the vehicles. So first off, with the Navigator, really comfortable suspension. The Escalade also does a really good job when it comes to suspension comfort, but I'd say that the Navigator, it's definitely up there. Now, I just drove an armored Mercedes before this, and this, because it's so big and so heavy already, the armoring, the weight that it adds to it doesn't change the dynamics nearly as much. You always kind of feel a little bit in the background, but with this, it's not nearly as prevalent. So, and I mean, it makes sense, right? If you add a lot of weight to a light car versus a lot of weight to a heavier car, right? It's percentages. So it's not going to make as much of a difference with the heavier car. I will say the braking, well, actually, it says like 24,000 miles on it. I was gonna say the braking does feel a little bit different, but also, who knows when the brakes were changed on this last, right? This EcoBoost has no problem moving the vehicle though with the armoring and everything. I mean, the Navigator's got good power, but it still feels like it's more than enough. Yeah, I feel like I still can't get these, like, I got the seat kind of somewhat adjusted properly, but it still feels off. I think I'm one of those people that, like, I just need the seat to go backwards and forwards in terms of like the back rest, and then the bottom portion backwards. That's all I need. I don't need the 20 or whatever. I think it's like 20 plus way adjustments. I can't remember what is the Navigator. It's a lot though. There's a lot of adjustments. You can even adjust the thigh bolsters in it. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I like how smooth this is. It's pretty quiet too. And I mean, I guess that's like something to note about armoring a car that I haven't mentioned in videos before, but I probably should have mentioned, is because of how thick everything is with the glass and all of that. Like, it obviously adds to the insulation in here, right, to the outside world. When you have glass that's like mega thick, it's gonna insulate you quite a bit. Oh, this is my tripod. But yeah, I think this drives really well. So to cap things off with this Armored Navigator, I know that the typical big SUV to armor is the Escalade, and you know, also Suburban. Yeah, Suburban and Escalade. Those are the ones that everyone wants to armor. But I think the benefit with the Navigator is, you know, here in Utah we're at higher elevation, so having the turbocharged engine helps out quite a bit. You don't get as much power loss. And then another thing that I like about the Navigator is I think this interior feels more upscale compared to, like, even the Escalade, right? It competes against the Escalade, and it's just some of the touch points they have and the material use that they use with this, it just seems a little bit nicer. And this does still have some plastic controls just like the Escalade, but it seems like they've tried to minimize the plastic, whereas with Cadillac, whatever GM switchgear they have on hand, they just use that. They don't care how much plastic is thrown throughout. So let me know what you guys think about this, and let me know if you think if this is a great alternative to a Suburban or an Escalade that's armored. I think this would actually be the route to go, because it flies under the radar, because I don't think that people would expect, like, if you're driving around a Navigator, right, Escalade, you know, blacked out Escalade, blacked out Suburban, they're gonna expect like, oh, maybe there's something with that. But with this, it's just a Navigator, right? So it's kind of like your sleeper armor car. It's cool.